let's talk about Live ND. This is a computational feature that's in Olympus and OM system cameras, and it's something that I've dabbled with a few times over the years, but never truly explored. So I thought I would challenge myself to go out and take 3 photos using Live ND that I'm really proud of. And I'll show you how it works, and the pros and the cons along the way as ever. So if you know what Live ND is, skip to this timestamp. If not, mind blown time. If you've ever used a neutral density filter on a camera, this is what Live ND does. It blocks light from coming into your camera. It's a computational feature that is only to do with photography, however, and not video. So what this enables you to do, in a nutshell, is when you're in daylight, you can get much longer shutter speeds than you otherwise would. Now, there are a couple of different strengths involved when it comes to Live ND. For example, the OM1, which is what I've been using for my shots, has up to ND 64, which is a lot. But if you want to get really fancy pants, the OM1 Mark II goes all the way up to ND 128, which is very impressive indeed. And because OM system cameras tend to have excellent stabilization, you can even use this feature handheld as well, which is something that really appeals to me because, one, I really don't like taking out extra bits of kit like tripods or ND filters to begin with. And because this tends to be a style of photography that perhaps we use every so often, it just makes it really convenient to have those features built into the camera with no extra kit required. So to set up Live ND, it's dead simple. You just need to navigate to the computational menu and choose your strength of choice. Then the only other option that you have to choose is whether you want a live preview or not. If you are shooting handheld, in my experience, because there's sort of a little delay in the development of the image on screen, it can sometimes make you a little bit wobbly. So if you're shooting handheld, I would recommend turning off the live view simulation. And if you are shooting on a tripod, keep it on so you can see what's going on and how the effect is working. So I think when people think about daytime long exposures and Live ND, the first sort of compositions that come to mind are landscapes, perhaps with waterfalls or running streams, which is what I've used it for in the past. So I thought I'd do something a little bit different. I'm going to go out to a city and get some daytime long exposures in the city.
There's 2 ways with people that I think you can go with this technique. One is turning everyone into a sea of people so it all just becomes a blur. And another way of doing it is making sure that 1 or 2 people stay still so they stand out from the crowd. For this one, I just want everyone to just be a blur of people. So I want to get a decently long shutter speed so that the motion is in the scene. My focal point for this is the church at the top of the road, and I think it'll be really nice that that can be the subject and then the people in front of it can emphasize the composition. So I've got ND 64 on in the Live ND setting, which gives me a ridiculous amount of scope to work with. If I set this to ISO 100, then I can get up to 5 seconds of exposure at f4.5, which is what I'm going to try first. A good rule of thumb for this is to put your 2-second timer on just to eliminate any shakes. However, I'm also aware that I'm in the middle of the city, so I'm going to keep hold of the tripod anyway.
I started with the 17 to 14mm f2.8 with the OM1, and I found that while it was nice, I thought it was a little bit too wide. So I switched to the 12 to 40 2.8 Pro to get a slightly longer focal length, and both effects were pretty nice, but I think I preferred the more standard focal length for this composition.
Now it's just a matter of waiting for the right subjects. Maybe some bikes can go past, or a car, or maybe a group of people closer to the lens. I'm just going to shoot a couple in a row until I get something that I like, but I think that's this composition in the bag. One more thing to bear in mind is if you are shooting people, if you leave your shutter speed for too long, like 10 seconds or so, you'll actually have the opposite effect and it'll erase them from the scene. So you can use that to emulate a quiet scene if you're in like a very busy, popular place. But for what I'm going for today, I need slightly lower shutter speeds. Another tip is if you're trying to get your composition but you've got Live ND on, if you just switch to a different mode, your shutter speed will sort itself out, and then you can change your composition and then go back to manual mode, and then Live ND will be back there.
If you have your eye on any of the equipment that I've used in this video, then OM System have some great offers on at the moment all the way through until the end of the year. Check the link in the description to learn more about that after you've watched this video, of course. So you may have seen this carousel in a number of my videos. It's one of my favourite spots in the city. Shooting it at night is always fun, but it was a really good change of pace and a change of creativity to try and get some interesting shots during the day. So let's go back to the city for composition number 2.
I'm going to use the leading line of the zebra crossing in this. Just in time for a massive bus to go in front, that should be funny. I might just get one more chance while it's still slightly moving. Yeah, that's not terrible. This shot might be a little bit cliche, but when you've got a beautiful carousel in sort of like a cloudy British day, I think we can get some interesting stuff. It'll add a bit of brightness and motion to the scene. It's just finding the right composition to make it work. And I think the way to do that is to use the zebra crossing as sort of a line into the scene, and then we'll have the motion in the scene. Now I just, without being weird, I have to wait for a load of kids to turn up so that it'll go again. While I am working with a brighter subject against a grey sky, I'm going to make sure that my exposure meter is about -1 EV. That way nothing will blow out, hopefully, and it'll give me a little bit more wiggle room in editing to make the colours pop. There are children getting on. This bodes well. Okay, so the carousel is moving. Let me just make sure my composition is epic. I'm at 5 seconds exposure. That's looking pretty cool. I might just move a little bit closer. Can't go wrong with this as a subject. It's always fun to photograph a carousel. And while I've got a wide angle lens, let's see if I can get a wide angle version. Because the lens is so wide, I'm shooting at 7mm. It really emphasizes the crossing and makes the crossing look massive in the scene. And it really leads into the carousel at the end. And if the parents stay still enough, we might be able to get them in still in the scene while the carousel's moving. That's another one in the bag. We're almost losing the light now, but I think we've got time for at least one more.
Last month in a video, I was shooting live composite mode at night, doing star trails and also some compositions in the city as well. I just wanted to go through the difference between live composite mode and live ND because there is a lot of crossover and I myself have had a little bit of confusion about it in the past. So which should you use and when? Well, live composite mode is great at night because it keeps a running exposure going and only adds in light into the scene, like in these examples here. Live ND is better to be used in daytime because it's slowing down your shutter speed and keeping your exposure low. You could do that anyway at night without this feature, so it really is a daytime feature.
One of the most common ways to use live ND or daytime long exposures in general is to really iron out water. So this could be in a landscape photo, or it could be a river or a stream, or in a cityscape it could be getting a nice reflection of the buildings in the water when it's quite windy. So there's a lot of ripples in the water, so we're going to need quite a long exposure to even this out. I'm going to shoot at 8 seconds. Using ND64, and just like with the carousel, I'm going to underexpose slightly so that the sky doesn't blow out. And I'll show you with and without, and you can see what it adds to the scene.
So here are my 3 images using live ND, and I think I like the carousel image the best, but I do always like how smooth and tranquil using this technique can make water, so I do like the cityscape one too. So let me know which image is your favourite. It's all very subjective after all, and if you enjoyed this style of video, please check out my live composite mode video next. I love videos that's more about getting out and about with the camera and thinking about the photography and using the excellent features that we have at our disposal creatively rather than just talking about this lens, this spec, this sensor. So let me know if you like this style of video and I'll try and do more.